car vlog today. I am on my way over to Syd's house. You guys have probably seen Syd here on the channel before. Syd is starting their own YouTube channel called Crafton Magick, which I've linked before in other videos, and I'll try to link it below in this video. Excuse the mess in the back seat. We have like some craft supplies and a book of shadows. And yeah, I'm going over to Syd's house and taking some of that with me over there. It is a very, very dear friend of mine and also a member of the coven. So whenever we get together, like, it is quite literally always magic. And you know, Syd and I, before we were in a coven together, we were just really good friends. I think that friendship truly can be such like a magical thing, as I guess like cliche or lame as that might sound. I think that having, you know, really good friends who you can be close with and honest with and real with is so important and such a rarity, I feel like, these days. You know, with just all of the facades and mess and stupid stuff that people kind of like put on. I think a lot of people are sometimes afraid to be really raw and genuine and just really bare their heart completely with someone. And I think that true friendship, to me, is that. You know, I don't think there's anything wrong with having acquaintances or even necessarily like superficial relationships, but that's really not my gig, and that's really not where I thrive at. I think a lot of people think that I have a very easy time like connecting with people, you know, because I'm on social media and I'm an instructor and whatever, right? Like, because my occupation requires me to work directly with the public. I think a lot of people assume that, you know, I must have a lot of friends or, you know, just have an easy time just connecting with people. And the truth is, I really don't. And I think that's because I have a hard time just maintaining small talk, and I have a hard time just kind of doing the so how's the weather kind of conversations. You know, like I would much rather get into, you know, conversations about philosophy or politics or religion or our personal beliefs or esoteric studies or, you know, urban legends or murder mysteries or taxidermy or I don't know, like, and I think some of it is because I have a very heavy 8th house in my chart. So conversations and topics about sex and death and taboos and kind of going against societal norms actually really excites me. And those are the sorts of conversations that I am most interested in. And I think because my 8th house is so heavy, I think that's why I tend to struggle sometimes more with, you know, building and maintaining relationships, specifically friendships, just because there's a lot of people nowadays who don't necessarily want to go any deeper than how's the weather, you know. And I love, you know, getting dressed up and going out and having a couple cocktails, and like the whole plastic scene and like the whole city girl scene is fun. The party girl scene is fun, but I'm kind of past that, and there's just not much depth there that's long lasting. And, you know, like I've had friendships before in the past where like the whole reason why we were even friends is because we were both wild childs or party girls or, you know, like on the scene, on the town, and like that's okay, but I don't really feel like that builds a long-lasting relationship. And that's the sort of friendships that I personally enjoy much more. Like, I'm okay with... Did you guys just see how I went over that little bridge and it was like a little pothole thing? Whatever it is. But really close friends who I know I can count on and who I can bare my heart to and who we can really experience life with each other, you know, versus just like this superficial plastic friendship. I'm just not into it. And I think that's why sometimes, you know, I have a hard time with making new friends, because not everyone is like super on board with just like jumping full in to like these sorts of things that I'm interested in. You know, like a lot of people will think that it's like weird or strange, or and maybe it is, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day, truthfully, what other people think. But when it comes to making friendships, it does make that difficult. So I think, you know, like I said, I'm okay with having a handful or a couple handful of close friends who I know I can be real with and have real conversations with and share my opinions openly, and them as well, without feeling any sort of sense of like judgment or anything. And so that's why, I mean, it's so nice when Syd and I get to like link up, because there is that mutual respect and like honest, just platonic love there, to where we can really just experience each other and like gas each other up genuinely and just have fun. And I think also, I think this is the thing that a lot of witches will sometimes experience, where because of the life that we live and our faith and our beliefs, sometimes it does make it kind of challenging to be able to really relate to other people. Like when we're having these esoteric, metaphysical, paranormal, which I hate that word, experiences, and like Sally Sue over here is just talking about how they went shopping and bought a bunch of crap from like wherever, it just kind of makes it bland, not as exciting, I guess. And like, I love a good haul, you know what I mean? Like, and I love shopping and all that too, but like, can't we talk about the left-hand path at the same time? Like, I don't know. We want to be able to have a city girls vibe while at the same time talking about the occult. I want to be able to, you know, vibe in like a full glam face of makeup and like crushed velvet and stiletto heels and go get our nails done and get a pedicure while talking about the spirits of the damned or the dead. Like, that's the vibe that I'm on, and like that's what I'm into. And it's hard sometimes to be able to cross those worlds with people, because so many people just live in one or the other. So I feel like I'm kind of rambling, but like, you know what I mean, right? 'Tis the season, and it has like a creepy little teddy bear on it, and then the back says Krampus. I think I got this cup from like Spencer's Gifts or something. But anyway, yeah, like maybe you guys know like what I'm saying, and maybe you guys get me here, or maybe you don't have this problem, like, but I kind of wanted to just talk about kind of like being a witch and like trying to make new friends and like trying to, you know, meet new people and have like real long-lasting friendships. Like, that's definitely something I think that people in the craft don't always talk about as much. And you really dedicate yourself to the craft and to being a witch, like in the open, and like you're not in a broom closet, and you know, you're out and about known as a witch, and people start knowing you as a witch, it does make it more difficult to make new friendships, because people definitely have like, whether it's from society or their family or their own just kind of like preconceived notions about witches or people who walk a left-hand path, you know, that is kind of like a roadblock and an obstacle. But I definitely look at it more as a blessing personally, because it kind of weeds people out in a way, you know what I mean? Like, people who really can't handle the unknown and people who can't handle things that are less than favorable, or the spooky things, it kind of weeds those people out of your life to where it's not an issue later on down the road. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I kind of view it more as a blessing than a curse, I would say. Guys kind of experience this as well. And I want to say too, like, I don't think that being a witch is like fundamentally who I am as a person. There's a lot of things that make me, you know, the woman that I am. And being a witch is not the sum of the whole of who I am at all, but it is a huge part of who I am. And I know that a lot of people may be watching this video, or like, I can almost already hear people telling me like, well, like, your religion or your faith or your practice, you know, it's just part of you. It's not all of who you are. And like, I understand that sentiment, but to me, the craft is such a big part of who I am, that I can't really put it to the side to make someone else feel more comfortable. So if that prevents me from having a friendship, then I guess that's kind of like a price that I'm willing to pay when it comes to the craft. And like, I guess that's kind of sad, but is it really? Is it really sad that, you know, my beliefs and my craft and my path and my philosophy, like, if that limits my experience when it comes to making new friends, then would I really want those friends to begin with? You know, I mean, there's been opportunities and stuff that I've missed out on because of being in the craft, and I don't regret that. I don't regret that for a second. You know, like, my craft absolutely comes first, and the coven for me absolutely comes first. And, you know, there's been events and opportunities, like I've said, that I've had to kind of skip out on due to the craft coming first. And I know that that's impacted my relationship sometimes, and especially being in a coven. And I think that's also something that, you know, people don't always talk about when it comes to covenry and coven life. And I won't and can't speak for all covens here, but in the coven that I am a part of, in our tradition, like, you know, the coven is supposed to come first. And that's not to say that you can't have other friendships or anything, because that's encouraged, and you can have your own solitary practice outside of the coven. But if you know that a Sabbat is coming up, like, you're kind of expected to be there. So, you know, if your friend from work or just a friend outside the coven, if they have like a birthday party that, you know, you've been invited to, if it's at the same time as a Sabbat, then you're kind of expected to be at the Sabbat, unless, like, you know, it's like a family emergency, or you're sick, or, I mean, the coven's not a cult, right? So, like, obviously, if you have to miss a Sabbat, you have to miss a Sabbat, but you shouldn't be ditching out of a Sabbat to go to, like, a concert with one of your Muggle friends. Like, that would definitely be frowned upon. And sometimes it can kind of feel like when you're in a coven, I won't say that it takes you to like a next level of witchery, because you don't have to be in a coven to experience the craft whatsoever. But when there's a group of people holding you accountable, it does kind of just add additional expectations that, you know, and possibly expectations that you're also required to meet depending on your role within the coven. But yeah, you do have to understand that you are going to miss out on, I guess, Muggle life stuff, which, like, I hate that term, Muggle life stuff, but I don't know how else to, like, really put it or explain it. So sometimes it can kind of feel like you're like Hannah Montana or Sabrina, and you like live in these two different worlds, you know, because those worlds don't always overlap. And sometimes you're, you know, living in the world of witchery, and sometimes you're living in the world of the mundane. And I think some people struggle with that, including myself. It's a struggle for me sometimes to balance, you know, all those things out, like, you know, with our relationships and our family and our craft. It can be a struggle sometimes. So anyway, I hope you all are doing well, and I hope you all are having a beautiful December and are finding some sort of light in this dark time, even if it's, you know, just hanging out with a good friend. Blessed be.